points. People are going to travel from all over to reminisce about the time the Phoenix Suns lost by 33 points in a Game 7. Got clowned at home as the heavy favorite, 123 to 90. And hey, y'all, it wasn't even as close as the score sounds. Never in my wildest dreams did I think I'd see CP3 and Devin Booker perform the way they did in a Game 7. An absolute unmitigated disaster. Embarrassing to them, embarrassing to the city of Phoenix, embarrassing to Lil Wayne. Now, Lil Wayne, he'll get past it. He'll move on. He'll learn not to tweet about Luka, that's for sure. Get some features. He'll be fine. But Devin Booker and Chris Paul, Game 7, unfortunately, will live in infamy for them. A permanent stain. Because this season may very well have been Chris Paul's last best shot at a title. And to go out like that, hell, I'm depressed. And while Devin Booker still got his whole career ahead of him, he just might need his whole career to get people to forget what occurred Sunday night. Get used to seeing this, Phoenix. Because this image is going to haunt you. Maybe forever.
Who are the biggest trash talkers in the NBA? Draymond for sure. KD for sure. Low key Luka Doncic. Low key, I'm definitely somewhere up there.
If you talk to him, he gonna talk that to you. He not backing down. He not backing down. I'm not gonna say what he said just because that don't need to get out.
Right.
Some of the that I've heard him say.
Don't do that.
But he a cold killer with some of the that I've heard him say.
In a game that is known for its fierce and competitive rivalries, trash talking has since been a tradition in the NBA. One might even say that it adds flavor to the game. Not every player trash talks, but they let their performance do the talking. Being the type of player that he is, Luka tries to get every advantage he possibly can, and he has done it since a very young age. He is very competitive and tries to make his opponents uncomfortable in every way he can, and he adds most to his already done damage by talking some extra trash. When his opponents are trying to return the favor, they seem to light up the fire even more, as that is when Luka gets it going the most for him. Let's see some of the experiences players have had to face when they tried talking trash to Luka Doncic. The Detroit Pistons have been one of the worst teams in the league for the past couple of seasons. However, in a game between them and the Dallas Mavericks, the Pistons managed to keep it close and interesting until the very end, so Luka had to pull out a move to get some advantage. Luka Doncic made a little detour toward the Detroit Pistons bench during their timeout. He approached Pistons assistant coach Allen to offer a few parting thoughts, punctuating a conversation that had continued throughout the game, an exchange that was extended as they barked at each other while Doncic slowly backpedaled toward the Dallas bench. As the discussion ended, Doncic laughed and cracked up a big smile. How did this game turn out? A Dallas win and a 53 points masterpiece performance for Luka. After the game, Luka was asked why there was tension between him and Allen, to which he replied,
"That was from the first quarter. He was just tripping. I don't want to say the words. I have no problem with that. It's basketball. Gets me going for sure."
On the other hand, the head coach of the Detroit Pistons at the time, Dwayne Casey, didn't seem to think much of the situation, considering he had coached some of the game's biggest trash talkers.
That's a bunch of nothing. We've seen worse. You remember I coached Jerry Payton, so and Kevin Garnett. So that tonight was zero as far as chirping was concerned. I like it. I thought that it really got us going, and it's the way it should be. Competitive guys. Doncic is competitive as heck. I love it. I love the way he plays, the way he carries himself, and I love the way our guys responded. They didn't step. They weren't intimidated. So it's all good. It was clean. There was nothing dirty about it.
At the end of the day, it is all about getting a competitive advantage in a respectable and sportsmanlike way, and both Luka and Dwayne Casey are aware of that. Luka has gotten the reputation of a fierce competitor from his earliest days in the NBA. One of his first real tests was his first playoff experience against the Clippers, a team that became one of Luka's bigger rivals during his career. In a recent episode of Podcast P, Paul Paul George explained just how big of a competitor Luka is and how his style of talking trash has made him one of the coldest killers in the league.
If you talk to him, he gonna talk that to you. He not backing down. He a cold killer with what some that I've heard him say.
George experienced this firsthand when he tried to get in Luka's head during the 2020 NBA playoffs. Those playoffs were Luka's first experience, and he delivered to say the least by averaging 31 points, 9.8 rebounds, and 8.7 assists per game, taking the Clippers to 6 long games. This heroic effort earned Luka a lot of respect from his peers in the league, including Paul George, who thinks very highly of him nowadays.
Next up, Luka is now. Luka is for real now. So we're talking about being the biggest international player now. That's surpassing GOATs. You know what I mean? That's surpassing Dirk. That's surpassing Tony Parker. That's surpassing Hakeem. That's surpassing. He's got a chance to be the biggest international guy. Surpassing Giannis in a way.
During a Dallas Mavericks victory over the Memphis Grizzlies, Luka Doncic had another great performance, recording 35 points, 8 rebounds, and 6 assists. Throughout the night, he was trash-talking with defenders that were trying to contain him and also interacting with some of the fans in the FedEx Forum arena. In the second half of the game, Grizzlies wing Vince Williams Jr. played really physical, trying to make it difficult on Doncic, even face-guarding off the ball and picking him up full court. With 24.8 seconds remaining in the game, the Slovenian superstar was called for a technical foul after an interaction with Williams. Doncic described his interactions with Williams as trash talk, but was confused about why he received the technical foul, and the Grizzlies wing did not.
He was just talking the whole time. I was back, I told him I wish let me play one-on-one. That's when I got attacked. So I don't know if the guys gotta just let us talk, It's part of the game. I love it.
Despite cooking him pretty badly, Luka credited Williams for his defensive impact, calling him a great player. There may not be many bigger competitors than Luka Doncic, but if there is one that is undeniably more hardcore than Luka is, that would be the late Kobe Bryant. Luka didn't get to play against Kobe, but he did experience the Black Mamba talking trash to him. In a game between the Los Angeles Lakers and Dallas Mavericks in the Staples Center, Luka heard somebody from the crowd talking trash to him in Slovenian. Luka was confused. Since there are not many Slovenians in the U.S., Luka looked around to check who it was, and there he saw no one else but the Black Mamba. This shouldn't be a surprise to anyone, considering how often Kobe talked trash to his opponents, and even teammates for that matter. When Luka realized who it was, he smiled and shook Kobe's hand. The two actually knew each other as Doncic spent some time with Kobe in August of 2018, working on his game. Doncic still talks about this experience to this day.
He was talking Slovenian, so I was he was talking my language, and I saw Kobe, and I was listen.
In a Western Conference matchup between the Minnesota Timberwolves and Dallas Mavericks, Luka Doncic managed to lead the Mavs to a big victory. During the game, Timberwolves big man Rudy had words for Doncic, which the latter addressed after the game.
When you start that, coming back to
Talking trash to a scorer like Luka Doncic could have been a recipe for a low-light moment for Rudy. Thankfully for Rudy, there were not many occasions where Luka scored on him, but his words did come back in the form of Doncic's 34-point night. The Mavs superstar hit 5 three-pointers, adding 8 assists and 6 rebounds during the game. That is probably what you are going to get when you try to trash-talk Luka Doncic. Luka has plenty of rivals in the NBA, but the biggest one may be Phoenix Suns guard Devin Booker. The two stars always seem to get into some kind of a scuffle when they play against each other, and their rivalry has gotten a lot of media attention as well. Since Luka is usually ahead of Booker and the Suns, they needed to add some more power, and they did just that when they added Chris Paul to their roster. A very well-known NBA veteran superstar, but also one of the game's most notable trash talkers. Once the two joined forces, they were not letting Luka go at all. Luka's teammate at the time, Reggie Bullock, was asked about the verbal jabs that Doncic was getting from the Suns stars.
I guess it's jabs. He's a tough player. He's a great player. And, I laugh at it when they try to guard him. You know what I'm saying? But, they want to try to do the same thing to him, bring him up in every pick and roll. When we get a switch, I know it's a bucket every time. And I don't know about the switches with them to get a bucket every time. But
I just know that we're going to back him up. That's our teammate. He's going to hold us down on the offensive end and give us his best on the defensive end. It's about a team to be able to, take us back and not let nobody talk junk to our superstar.
Reggie Bullock explained the situation greatly, and Devin needs to keep that in mind for the next time he considers talking trash to Luka. Every time he had tried to talk trash to Luka, he has found himself on NBA meme pages. An interesting situation developed on a play during the game between the Mavericks and the Utah Jazz. On a drive to the basket with Chris Dunn guarding him, Luka passed the ball to an open Derrick Jones Jr. Doncic then turned towards Dunn, smiling at him being fooled. Dunn did not take this well and walked towards Doncic with his finger poking Doncic's still smiling face. Both Luka Doncic and Chris Dunn were issued technical.
It's about a team to be able to, take us back and not let nobody talk junk to our superstar.
Reggie Bullock explained the situation greatly, and Devin needs to keep that in mind for the next time he considers talking trash to Luka. Every time he had tried to talk trash to Luka, he has found himself on NBA meme pages. An interesting situation developed on a play during the game between the Mavericks and the Utah Jazz. On a drive to the basket with Chris Dunn guarding him, Luka passed the ball to an open Derrick Jones Jr. Doncic then turned towards Dunn, smiling at him being fooled. Dunn did not take this well and walked. On a drive to the basket with Chris Dunn guarding him, Luka passed the ball to an open Derrick Jones Jr. Doncic then turned towards Dunn, smiling at him being fooled. Dunn did not take this well and walked towards Doncic with his finger poking Doncic's still smiling face. Both Luka Doncic and Chris Dunn were issued technical fouls following the altercation. The game, being a one-sided affair between the Dallas Mavericks and the Utah Jazz, might have added to the issue Dunn had with Doncic. While discussions with the referee near the reviewing booth, Doncic was heard saying, "I didn't do nothing, he's just mad I'm busting his bro." After that, the referee tried to calm the situation down and asked Doncic if they could shake hands and let it be. To this, Doncic replies, "Oh, hell no." Doncic knew he had gotten into Chris Dunn's head, and the guard was just adding to the taunts with the classic smile. Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving were targeted by NBA villain Dylan Brooks, as he often looks to annoy his opponents before their games against him. Brooks has gained quite the reputation for getting under the skin of his opponents, and he tried to do so with Luka Doncic as well. He mocked Doncic for being injured, and later sent a warning to Irving. "I hope Luka gets back for the next game so I can guard him. I didn't get a chance to guard him the first game, and he had a great game, so I want to see where I'm at." Brooks then sent for Irving, with the intention of intimidating the former #1 pick, as he will be all alone out on the court. "Now I get to have him by himself today," Brooks added when speaking about Irving. "I want to see what he's all about, so I can't wait to pick him up full every single time and see him get exhausted." However, Irving didn't retaliate when he was asked about Brooks' comments and instead questioned his maturity. Brooks hopes every best player plays, just because it makes the game a lot better competitive-wise. There's been a lot going on with him, seeing him in the middle of all the Draymond stuff. I mean, it makes it great for our league, but at the same time, there's a maturity that we've got to have. Nothing should go over the line of personal stuff. If we keep it strictly on the floor, but once it gets, you know what it turns into out there. Kyrie responded in a humble manner, but Luka, who was not cleared for both games, seemed to remember this talk from Brooks and made sure to remind him of it the next time they saw each other. In their next matchup, Luka Doncic scorched Dylan Brooks and the Houston Rockets and had himself a 41.9 and 9 night. There is always more than one option for responding back to trash talk. In a matchup between the Clippers and Mavericks in Game 4 of the NBA playoffs, Patrick Beverley felt cavalier enough to talk trash to Luka Doncic in the first quarter when the latter was at the free throw line. But the Mavs superstar made the foul shot and talked some smack back to Beverley. Doncic, of course, made it known that he will be a nightmare for many years to come by hitting the game-winning three-pointer at the end of overtime in Game 4 to tie the series. He did so despite sustaining a painful sprained ankle that forced him to exit Game 3. Luka also got in some fights with Harrell as well, which made him even more motivated to beat the Clippers. This playoffs performance earned Beverley's respect for Luka. He has always had a very unique perspective of the league, and his takes on some of the players and organizations are quite entertaining. Now playing his 12th NBA season, he He is a veteran who spends more time mentoring the young players and appearing on podcasts. A question that Bev was asked in one of his appearances was about the best trash talkers in the NBA. Beverly listed out his top 5 with no hesitation.
Draymond for sure. KD for sure. Low-key Luka Doncic. Low-key, I'm definitely somewhere up there. Russ. Yeah, Russ up there. Cool at 5.
That is some respect he has for Luka's skills, at least the trash-talking ones. When Luka Doncic engineered a switch in the second half of Denver's rousing win in Dallas on Sunday, the Slovenian megastar got way more than he bargained for. The Mavericks screened Nuggets rookie Christian Wood, so versatile, secretly Doncic's primary defender. Doncic arrived and appeared to have a step on speed when the 6'10" forward challenged from behind. When Slick spotted Doncic's player, he naturally celebrated the scene. Doncic, a fierce competitor, was already emotionally charged, took the post personally, though Zeke said that wasn't his intention. Zeke talked a bit about this encounter after the game. "I'm cooking you," Zeke said of Doncic. He has this little accent. "I'm cooking you, I'm cooking you. You can't stop me." As the third quarter seemed to make Doncic words to get to him, and he replied with a simple but savage, "Hey, Luka, baby assassin of flopping throughout the game." Doncic even went as far as imitating Curry's shimmy after knocking down the Ultimately, it was Curry who got the last laugh. The Warriors gentlemen swept the Mavericks in the series, heading to their 6th finals appearance, which later turned into another one of Steph's legacy. This was a rare occasion where Luka actually lost his match. Of course, trash talking is no more. After the games, and that's what is all about. This is one of the reasons Luka Doncic is one of the most respected basketball players.
This clip will go down in the basketball trash talking Hall of Fame. Not because Devin Booker's trash talking worked, not because he actually backed it up with anything, but because of the absolute obliteration that was to follow. Devin Booker did not know it at the time, but this is where it all ended. A video taken moments before disaster. Today's video is sponsored by Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community where you can explore thousands of classes with members across 150 countries. Looking to fuel your passion for design? Skillshare's got you covered. Maybe you're an athlete who wants to enhance your mental game. Well, look no further. From skills, and everything in between. Skillshare's classes are fit for every interest and skill level. The most common questions I'm asked by viewers is, how do I make my videos? Or how am I should get started on my creative journey? And the answer is always Skillshare. Skillshare offers countless classes in animation, editing, filmmaking, and many more. I've been creating videos for years now, and to this day, I continue to use Skillshare to sharpen my craft. Skillshare is ad-free, so you can stay in the zone while exploring new skills. And with new premium classes launching each week, there's no limit to what you can learn and explore. To help y'all get started, Skillshare is offering a 1-month free trial to the first 1,000 people to click the link in the description. Check out Skillshare and take the next step in your creative journey today. This is the text my brother sent me just moments before witnessing the biggest playoff basketball monstrosity I've ever seen in my entire life. I didn't believe him, so I had to tune into the game myself. And sure enough, there it was. In what world is this even possible? A record-breaking 64-win Suns team, fully healthy, is getting dog-walked in a Game 7 with their season on the line. Okay, well, I wasn't able to watch the first half, so I'm assuming those measly 27 points had to have come from Chris Paul and Devin Booker. I mean, there's no way they just didn't score. So, after all that trash talking, all that hooping and hollering, after going up 2-0 in the series, this was the best the Suns had to offer. A couple of weeks ago, I made a video about how the Nets, and specifically Kevin Durant, had one of the worst playoff meltdowns in recent history. But, we got a new contender. Of all the players in this year's playoffs, Chris Paul had possibly more to prove than anyone else. After a career of bad luck and, quite frankly, bad playoff performances, NBA fans were eager to see if he could lead his team to the NBA Finals again and redeem himself for their collapse last season against the Bucks. But at this point, we should have known better. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. There's an NBA record 7 consecutive Game 7s, and shame on everyone. But it's one thing for Chris Paul to come off Game 7. For one reason or another, he's been doing it his entire career. But the entire Suns roster, how does the best regular season team in the NBA fall apart this badly in their season? In the first half of Game 7 against the Mavericks, the Suns starting high combined for 18 points on 29 shots. Doncic, by himself, had 27 points on 12 shots. Chris Paul and Devin Booker combined for a whopping 3 points in the first half. 3 points. Even worse, those 3 points came from the foul. Neither of them made a single shot. At the end of the game, the Suns starting five mustered up just 37 points in 143 minutes. Put up 35 points in just 30 minutes. I don't think I've ever seen an NBA game in my entire life that was over halfway through the second quarter. The only reason I wanted to drop a 50-point triple-double on these boys was because the man was on the bench by the third quarter, flipping for the Warriors in the next round. In this series featuring the Suns and the Mavericks, that had more points than pure scorer Devin Booker, had more assists than big assist man Chris Paul, had more rebounds than 7-foot center DeAndre Jordan, and had more steals than defensive player of the year Mikal Bridges. The man beat the Suns so bad, the franchise had to write an apology letter to their fans. Devin Booker spent the 2022 NBA season holding a solid MVP campaign, having the best season of his career. And yet, somehow, when it mattered most, Booker put together the worst playoff game of his entire career. The man didn't even want to fight. It's like there's no fire in him. He's not rising up in these big games. And this big game mentality is what separates guys like Luka and Giannis from others. Sure, these guys are vastly different peers, and that definitely helps. But just as valuable as their skill set and physical tools is their will to win. The Doncic would rather die trying than lose a Game 7 like this. The man won't back down to anyone, and he has the game to back it up. I mean, seriously, is there anything better in sports than a superstar who plays better under pressure, a player that can take the trash talk, spit it right back, and make you regret it. They said it best after their game 5 weeks against the Suns. Do you know how confident you have to be to say this out loud after going down 2-3 in the playoffs? This killer mentality, almost like a basketball hitman taking names and seeking revenge, is something you're either born with or you aren't. Players like Luka, Giannis, Jimmy Butler, Ja Morant, all cut from the same cloth as guys like Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and Larry Bird. There is no end to what they will do to you. It's almost psychotic at times. Not every night will be some mental performance, but you can guarantee that they will know the spring. We often wonder why some players without extreme talent seem to never step up to the plate with the dimensions you will take. While some players rise to the challenge and love dancing, others shrink under the mounting pressure of these career-defining moments. It's intangible and immeasurable, but it's there. And the thing about guys who don't have it is that they tend to underestimate the guys who do have it. In the 90s, NBA players were legitimately scared to trash talk Michael Jordan. I mean, they already knew that there was a slim chance he wasn't going to dismantle them. But at least if they kept quiet, Michael might just spare them from embarrassment self-confidence. Everybody's does it. And we all know it. How in Game 7 with the Mavericks, Devin Booker was quietly sitting on the bench with not a single word to say. Which really makes you wonder if Devin Booker is cut from not the same cloth as the Kobe Bryants of the NBA world, but from the same cloth as the Chris Pauls of the NBA. There's nothing wrong with that. CP is one of the greatest point guards of all time. He's one of the teams who comes out of game with everything on the line. It means that truly has been results in the campaign as one days and veterans to all that worried about facing Chris Paul.
Yeah, right. No question about it. You guys think it's going to be a home. Yeah, no question about it. You guys in the NBA go to sleep early the night before playing the Phoenix Suns? Hell no. No.
You as a team, or would you talk about Chris Paul individually?
Chris Paul individually.
Okay.
No. I'm going to Snake 44 over there in Phoenix. I'm going to have the nice little wine. I'm going to sweat it out. And but the pregame shoot around and get ready for Chris Paul. Steph Curry, I'm going to bed at 8 o'clock. Mom, don't call me. My girl, don't call me. I'm locked in right now. It's two different monsters. That's all.
And although that's really rich coming from a guy who spent the last 8 years spanked by Chris Paul, which probably learns from Tony said, Paul doesn't have the confident mentality that other greats have, and Devin Booker may not have either. This whole Game 7 collapse, and even going back to last year's finals, reminded me of that clip from a couple years ago where Devin Booker was complaining about getting double-teamed out of the gym. Instead of embracing the challenge, he became frustrated with it. Instead of welcoming the double team to enhance his game, he complained about it. Some fans often say Devin Booker is the closest thing to Kobe Bryant in today's NBA. But don't get it twisted, because you want to know what Kobe Bryant said when he was getting double teamed?
Double team. Oh yeah. And what do you think about?
So you gotta send another one.
Straight up.
Yeah, you gotta send another one. Yeah.
Straight up.
I don't care how talented a player is. If he doesn't have a cut through, get out of the way, I got this mentality to his game, he will only get so far. Two superstars don't just happen to score 3 combined points in the first half of their biggest game of the season. It's one thing to get out to a slow start, but this is the result of a player who lives and thrives off of big moments, having a field day with 2 players that can't help but to freeze up in big moments. Either you have it, or you don't. Some players lack it, some players are honing it, and some players are made of it. Hope you all enjoy it. And as always, until next time. He's gonna be the best player in Europe in a couple of years. Trust me on that. In Europe. Born winner, so mark my words, he's gonna be one of the best in the whole league.
He's doing it at the second highest level of basketball in the world is unprecedented for European players. It doesn't matter if it was Antetokounmpo, Porzingis, or even Dirk Nowitzki. No team, no player has ever done what he's doing.
What makes Luka special? His size. He's gigantic. I mean, he's gigantic. He's 6'8" point guard. He's 225 pounds. He has the ball on the string. And Luka's the truth. Luka's the truth. Luka's the best. I'm going to say it on national television. Luka's the best white boy I've seen since Larry Bird. This brother is something special. Overrating Luka Doncic. He is not a superstar by any stretch of the imagination. If he's not a superstar, there aren't any in the NBA.
Okay, well then there aren't any left. Okay. He's actually a triple threat of a liability because we start with his shooting. He is a sorry shooter, a poor shooter, certainly by superstar standards. Number two, he is a turnover machine. Luka Doncic, I'm going to repeat this twice so everybody lets it sink into their brain. He led the NBA this year in turnovers per game.
You can improve everything, or every time, every day you can improve, especially my physical condition and my shot. I mean, I know there is pressure, but I think I show that when I go on the court, I don't have any pressure. I always say when I get on the court, I forget about everything, just play basketball.
The story of Luka Doncic is well documented, a child prodigy who went professional at the age of 13. But there is way more to this story. In a country smaller than the state of New Jersey, an unknown land for most NBA fans, Slovenia is home to a little over a dozen NBA players, none greater than the 7-year-old kid who they call the Wonder Boy. Growing up in Slovenia, Luka Doncic was introduced to the game of basketball when he came out the womb. The son of Slovenian basketball star Sasa Doncic, baby Luka had a ball in his hands as early as 7 months old.
My dad played basketball, so he showed me the game. He told me, just work hard, have fun.
By the age of 1, he could be seen walking and dribbling the ball around his house and shooting on his mini hoop.
Honestly, he was playing with basketball all of his life. Since he was 1 year old, when he started to walk, he was playing with the ball.
At the age of 2, Luka could be spotted at his dad's basketball games, taking shots at the end of quarters or during timeouts. Growing up, he played all sorts of sports, but basketball was his one true love.
I was playing a lot of sports. I think they helped me a lot in basketball, but I was only good at basketball, so that's why I decided to play basketball.
Not only did Luka love basketball, well, he was obsessed with it.
I go to the match a lot without basking. A lot of times, I still wish I was a kid, and let the problems. Just go school, go play, that's it. But that was the dream, just playing the NBA since I was really young. Every day is basketball.
Luka was a natural talent at a young age, and at the age of 7, Sasa would invite coach Luis Cisco from Union Olympia, a prominent Slovenian basketball academy, to meet young Luka. After some pushback because of Luka's age, Cisco, he would agree to meet young Luka. And after spending a couple hours with them, he would call his other coaches and demand that this kid tries out for the team. And during his tryouts, Luka would impress the other staff even quicker than he did Cisco. In only 16 short minutes, they would move young Luka up to play with the 10-year-old kids. And even at the 10-year-olds practice, the staff felt that Luka was just too good, and they would push him to go to the 14-year team. Due to league rules, Luka was forced to play on the 12U team and was not allowed to play with the 14-year-old kids.
First practice, when he came to the older guys, 3 years older guys, and he showed us some incredible moves in the start. So we very soon we knew that he will become a great player.
And coaches would describe Luka's game as something you just couldn't teach. As one coach would say, you can't learn this what he's doing. No way you can teach some players or somehow give them this type of knowledge. The skinny 7-year-old kid handled the ball perfectly and had elite court vision for his age. Despite being miles ahead of his age group already, Luka still wanted to get better, often harassing his mom to take him to practice with the older age groups after his practice was over.
One practice a day, but she always wanted to practice more. So he said, Mom, please call coaches if I can go to another practice with some other group. But even 2 practices a day, it was not enough for him.
He simply did not take days off. Luka wanted to play basketball every single day. Basketball was his distraction from the world. It didn't matter what else was going on in his life. He knew that he could count on basketball to be there for him. And with Union Olympia, well, Luka just got better with age, and every year he just took the next step. And at the age of 12, Luka would drop his first ever triple-double, putting up 54 points, 11 assists, and 10 rebounds in a championship game win. He took home the MVP award for the tournament alongside the championship trophy. And with his continuous work ethic and pure talent already, young Luka would gain attention from professional teams all across the world. And at the age of 13, Luka and Sasa decided that Real Madrid would be the perfect place for him. His father was fond of Real Madrid and how they were able to help former European players transition to the NBA, which ultimately was Luka's goal. So young Luka would pack his bags, move to Spanish without his parents, friends, or even the ability to speak Spanish.
I had to leave all my family, all my friends, the school I was there, everything, so I wasn't going to go. And then just one day I woke up and I say I want to go.
And before playing for Real Madrid, Luka would sign a 5-year deal that was set to end right when he turned 18.
In America, a good young basketball player goes to high school and then to college, and then they sign a professional contract after they get drafted. In Europe, they don't have high school basketball, so oftentimes a terrific young player, usually taller than most, maybe he's 13 or 14, he's already 6'1", 6'2". A professional team in Europe signs him, like Luka Doncic, at 13, and he heads to a place like Madrid.
Despite Luka's talent, Real Madrid decided to put Luka on their under-14 club where he would flourish in day one. In his first tournament with the squad, he helped them win a championship and took home MVP honors. Luka continued to impress, winning tournament after tournament and quickly becoming one of the most talented players in all of Europe for his age. Everyone that followed European basketball began to hear the tales of a skinny Slovenian boy absolutely tearing up European players called Wonder Boy. At the age of 16, Real Madrid would finally call Luka up to join the pro team, making him the youngest player ever to play for Real Madrid. And on April 30th, 2015, Luka would make his professional debut. In his first season with the club, Luka only played in 3 games and had very little impact on the season. It would not be until a game the following year where Luka Doncic's career would change forever.
Princeton looking for somebody, gets it to Hines for a layup and a 7-point lead, the biggest of the game so far for CSKA Moscow.
Luka's Real Madrid team would find themselves down 37-30 in the second quarter. Madrid's head coach Lothar would then call a timeout and would absolutely tear into his team, hoping to spark a fire. He would then direct his attention to a young Luka who has not played all game and was currently sitting on the bench. He would tell Luka, one play, Kareem, one play. Luka would nod, and as soon as he would check into the game, well, he drained the 3 right out of the timeout. And then after a miss from CSKA, Luka would grab the rebound, pass to his teammates, relocate, after the ball, and bang, another 3. After CSKA would fail to score again, Luka would have the ball in his hands once again. He would call for a screen, pull up, bang, his 3rd consecutive 3-pointer. At this point, the crowd erupted, and CSKA was stunned that the 16-year-old Slovenian kid was absolutely killing them. forcing CSKA to call a timeout after his third three. In a matter of 5 minutes, Luka Doncic, the 16-year-old NBA kid, absolutely took over the game and gave his team the lead. But Wonder Boy had arrived in Europe. After that game, Luka became a regular in Real Madrid's lineup and would eventually crack the lineup during the season and play in 12 games in total. Now, not every game was like that, as he only averaged 3.5 points, 2.3 rebounds, and 2 assists that year. But Luka continued to improve in his game like he always did. In the next season, he found himself being a starter in the majority of the team's games, improving his numbers to 7 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists a game, a winning European Rising Star award. At this time, Luka was starting to get attention of not just Europe, but NBA scouts alike that this kid might be special. This would also be the season that he got his first taste of NBA basketball. Real Madrid would host the Oklahoma City Thunder for an exhibition game where Luka Doncic would have a chance to play up against MVP Russell Westbrook.
I was 16 years old playing against some of the best players in the world, Russell Westbrook, so I was, a little bit scared. It was just amazing to be on the court with them.
This taste of NBA talent would help Luka into his last season with Real Madrid, which was his breakout year. The 2017-2018 season could be argued to be Luka's best year of his entire career. Turning